Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? They didn't actually hear you backstage. You're gonna have to do that one more time. Perfect. My name is Amanda Abdulhadi, and I'm part of the Adult Learning Programming team here at TIFF. Oh my goodness, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this one night only, one last dance with the Kings of Tampa, one dope Queen special screening. Loved it, Phoebe Robinson on Magic Mike XXL. So before we begin, though, we would like to acknowledge that tonight's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. It's important for us to offer these land acknowledgements as a small but essential step towards reconciliation and as a way to activate and remember the history of the land of the peoples who have lived here. On behalf of TIFF, I would also like to thank our lead sponsor, Bell, our major sponsors, RBC, L'Oreal Paris, and Visa, and our major public supporters, the Government of Canada, the Government of Ontario, and the City of Toronto. And a huge thank you to donors and members like you for supporting TIFF's mission to transform the way people see the world through film. So this event is actually the first in our new series called Loved It, which invites special guests to present their sort of forever favorite films in a really fun environment. So, and this also means it's not a silent screening, so I want you to think of ways you can make it not silent. Think of all the ways also that you've been conditioned to watch movies, maybe here, maybe in other cinemas, and just throw that behavior out the window. We want you to kind of appreciate this very, very well-oiled sequel to Magic Mike. So if it moves you when you're watching distinct figures, to cheer, to holler, to clap, please do. This is your night to do that. So, you ready? Yeah? So, we're almost there, I promise. This is the format for tonight in our Loved It series. So we're gonna have after the screening, we're gonna have an on-stage discussion with some special guests. Phoebe Robinson. And our host for tonight, Kathleen Newman-Bregman. We're gonna have, after that, an audience Q&A. This is your chance to talk. And then after that, a book signing of Phoebe's new book, great title, Everything's Trash, But It's Okay. Copies will be available for purchase at TIFF concessions right after the film. So now, without further ado, on to tonight's host. Kathleen Newman-Bregman is a Toronto-based writer and producer. She has worked for some of the biggest media networks in North America, including MTV, Much Music, and CTV, and she was a celebrity and entertainment producer for The Social for 6 seasons. She has contributed to publications like Laney Gossip, Cosmo, Elle Canada, Corduroy Magazine, and The Kit. She is, and this is unbelievable, the sole staff writer at Refinery 29 Canada. Please join me in welcoming Kathleen.
Hi. Hi, everyone. You look so beautiful. I didn't think I was gonna be able to see you. I see you all, you look great. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Kathleen Newman-Bregman, as Amanda mentioned, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to tonight's special event, Phoebe Robinson on Magic Mike XXL. Yes. It's going to be a pleasure-filled evening. Lots of abs, lots of tall drinks of water, so I hope y'all are thirsty. I promise I'm gonna leave the comedy to our special guest tonight. That's kind of all I got. So Phoebe Robinson. Yes. Oh, no, not yet.
Oh. JK.
I have so much more I want to say about you. Okay, you just got a glimpse of her, but you might also know her as the OG Coco Khaleesi. She is a stand-up comedian, a writer, actor. She is best known as the co-creator and co-star of the hit podcast Two Dope Queens, with Jessica Williams, of course. That was also turned into an HBO special, lots of HBO specials that I'm sure you've seen. She made her feature film debut in Netflix's Ibiza. And I did not say that right. Ibiza? Whatever. She also starred in What Men Want and TBS's Search Party. She was a staff writer on Portlandia, a consultant on Broad City. And this year, she launches her first solo stand-up tour. Also great name. Sorry, Harriet Tubman. And then she's continuing to host her podcast that I love, Sooo Many White Guys. She's interviewed a lot of non-white guys like Awkwafina, Issa Rae, Reese Witherspoon. She also was recently a recurring moderator on someone you may know, Michelle Obama's Becoming book tour. Yeah, Mish. She calls her Mish. And Michelle Obama calls her Phoebes. That's ridiculous. She is also the author of the New York Times bestseller, You Can't Touch My Hair, and other things I still have to explain. She's doing a service for all of us black girls, right, on that? Don't touch our hair. And Everything's Trash, But It's Okay, which if you don't have your copy, you should buy it and get it signed after this. And it was just recently announced that she has inked an overall deal with ABC Studios. I have been a fan of Phoebe Robinson for years. I've been in awe of her candor and her ability to just be herself in any room that she's in. So now we are going to welcome her to this room. Please give a warm welcome to Phoebe Robinson.
I'm so sorry. There was a pregnant pause for drama.
I know. It was for drama. It was for applause.
And I was like, oh, I should be out. So let me run out. And then you were like, no, go back in.
I just wanted to hype you up a little bit more.
I appreciate it.
You are the expert on this film.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
We've been joking you have like a PhD in the Magic Mike franchise.
Yes.
So please tell everyone what they should look out for, what they need to know.
You know, I think this is just, you know, I talk about this with my boyfriend because he's never seen either movies. And I'm like, you should watch these. And I think it's just like a fun escape. And I feel like it does objectify guys, which is like fun.
Yes.
But then it also, like, when you watch the movie, it is really about the guys just really sort of making sure that women are feeling good and feel sexy about themselves. And I think that's cool. I think that isn't shown enough on film. It's just always like a guy like just puts like one finger down your pants and you're like, ah! And like that's not,
Where is it?
you know. Okay, maybe that's like not the most accurate description of like Hollywood sex, but
we're gonna talk about that later. We're gonna get all into that later.
But I think it's just really fun. I remember when I saw it in theaters when it first came out, like I just felt like so excited and I was like, yas, 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 yas. And I think when it's done, like we're all just gonna feel good about ourselves and be like a little hot. So make sure you brought some water because it does get a little like sexy.
A change of pants, maybe.
Yeah. And I think we're just gonna have fun and then we're gonna hang out afterwards. And my poor assistant Mai, I forced her here and she's gonna watch this with me because she's never seen it. So I am the coolest / weirdest boss. So I'm very excited for you guys to all. Who's seen it before? Okay. Who hasn't seen it?
Yeah. Oh,
wow.
Oh
My gosh.
Yes.
Even like the beginning thing with.
Shh, no spoilers. No spoilers.
It comes out hot.
That thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. For like 90 minutes. So be prepared.
All right, enjoy the film, everybody.
Bye.
Hi. How fun was that? How's everyone feeling? Excited? A little bit horny? Yeah. All right, please welcome back Phoebe Robinson.
Phoebe. Hi, guys.
Phoebe was leading a lot of the applause throughout that. A lot of the yasses.
Yes.
Okay, so you know what? First, I'm going to start with, this is Magic Mike XXL, of course, so it is a sequel.
Yes.
So I just need to start with how it holds up to the original.
I think it's better than the original, like hands down.
You think it's better?
Yes, absolutely.
You know what? You said that this franchise is proof that quote, air humping is a lost art.
Yeah.
End
Right?
quote.
There's so much air humping. It's so good.
So the air humping is better in this one?
Yeah. I mean, everyone's like, so the first one had Matthew McConaughey, which is hot, but there was like that guy, what's his name? Alex, whatever, which I was like,
Pettifer or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't think he was cute. So I was like, why
Neither.
are we following his journey? I don't care. You know what I mean? I was like, this is the most basic white man we're following right now. So
Yes.
yeah, but so the sequel was just, I feel like it was funnier, and I like that it was more diverse racially, like the whole section at Rome's house. Like I thought that was like awesome, like much appreciated. So it just was like more layers to it.
Yes. Shout out Twitch. Shout
Yeah.
out Michael Strahan.
I know.
Woo!
So
Who knew?
my assistant Mai loves Michael Strahan.
Mai, what up, Mai?
How was that, Mai? She's
in the red hat over there.
She's like covering her eyes. Yes, Queen Mai. Was it hot seeing Michael Strahan with no clothes on, or was it weird because you watch him every morning on TV? I mean,
We can't hear her. Mai said, I like him better when he's in his suit.
Okay. You know what? No, because she's trying to act like she's like not into him at all. And I did Good Morning America with Jessica, and she got to meet him, and he like hugged her, and she was like blushing so much, and she was like, "No, I just think he has like a nice sweater on." I'm like, "Girl, that is not why you're blushing. He is very hot in person.
I
It's
just like
okay."
his sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to say that. That's our code for, yeah, that was hot. Okay, let's talk plot. Because I remember the first time. Let's talk plot.
LOL at this plot. Ha ha.
Well, listen, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, listen, enough talking, get to the stripping.
Yeah.
But there is a plot. They do attempt. The New York
Yeah.
Times called it as flimsy as a G-string.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? And does it
Yeah.
even matter in a film like this?
It doesn't. The point of this movie is to like make you feel good and just see like a bunch of like dudes like like grinding and like just worshiping women's bodies. So like you don't really need a plot, but it was just very funny to see them being like, "This is our last chance." It's like, what? For Myrtle Beach? This is what? You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, we're going to Cape Town. It's like fucking Myrtle Beach. So I was like,
You could go
I
there
guess.
anytime.
Yeah. But and the thing that I think is great about this movie is like they're in on the joke too. Like they know like they're
Yes.
being like extra at certain parts and like they're having fun with it. So I always love when movies are like, we know that this is ridiculous, but this is part of like why we enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
take itself too seriously.
Yeah, but the plot is, you know, last weekend, and they get together this whole routine in like 12 hours. Like, the lighting cues were like impeccable. I was like, when did you even rehearse those lighting cues?
But there was a montage of them rehearsing. we saw it happen.
Yeah, he went to Ace Hardware and got like all the fucking S&M apparatus just at one Ace Hardware, Myrtle Beach. Okay.
He watched a YouTube tutorial. Okay, we mentioned air humping.
Yes.
Joe Manganiello. And the water bottle scene. Shout out to the water bottle.
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way,
Yeah.
is a star of that scene. There's a lot of 90s jams, a lot of 90s nostalgia throughout the movie. You and I, we both love 90s
Yeah.
nostalgia. So what is it about that era that films seem to keep paying homage to?
Well, I mean, I think everyone who grows up like whatever decade they grow up in, they're like the music was like really incredible, but I really do feel like 90s like R&B and pop was just really just classic. Like Pony is just a perfect R&B
Perfect song.
pop song. Like there's nothing wrong with that song. And when you hear it like start like brow brow, like you're already like in your chair, you know?
Yes.
You're like ready to go. But I think it just like makes you like, I just think like 90s music was so much it was just about making you feel good. And like, I just think like there was a lot of like, now like a lot of music can sort of like sound the same, but there was definitely like distinct styles within each like sort of genre. So it's like really cool. Like R&B down south is different than like, I don't know, R&B in Ohio, LOL, which is where I'm from. But like they're different. you know, like people are doing different things, so it was like really cool to sort of like see like little snapshots of like this is what like, you know, the country was like and what people were listening to at that time. So I love it.
You're right. And like the first bars, you can tell from like literally the first bar. That's a 90s jam.
Yeah.
So you talked about it a bit, but the one of the things this film does so well is the female gaze. It does feel like it is for women and is for our pleasure. And so many films do not do that well. And one of the best scenes I think that describes this is in the mansion with Jada Pinkett Smith playing Rome. And there's two scenes actually that we've kind of cut together to revisit with everyone. You're welcome. So it's Twitch, who plays Malik, and Channing Tatum, who of course plays Magic Mike. They're dancing. I'm gonna stop talking and get to the stripping. Let's roll it. Everyone's like, shh, it's still going. Yeah, I mean,
Great
there's,
scene.
especially in that, you can just see that is, even though men made this movie, surprisingly, they do that female gaze so well. First of all, why do you think it's done so well in this movie? And then why do you think it's lacking in other movies?
Well, I think in other movies, you could just tell directors like, I just want to see her tits. Yeah, do the fucking against the like fucking fridge. You're like, what? You're like, this is gross. I don't want to see this. It truly, like so many times when I watch like sex scenes in movies, I'm like, is this director like a 15-year-old version who's never, it's just like, come on, like it's so creepy. And this is like celebratory and like, it's just like really like, I don't know, it feels like a safe environment. Like all the women are having fun. It's very well choreographed. Like it's just like, I don't know, it just feels very sort of like, this is chill. Whereas like in a lot of movies, it's just like very aggressive and very just misogynistic and like, yeah, fuck that prostitute. Next scene, go back to your wife and fuck her. You're like, ew. I don't want to watch that.
No. And they also say so many times, they like verbalize in the movie that, you know, it's women asking for what they want.
Yeah.
And how nobody asks women. And so these guys, like that scene in the car with Donald Glover and Matt Bomer, which Matt Bomer, guys, you know, they say no one asks a woman what they want, and we're gonna ask them.
Yeah,
Finally.
and I feel like that, you know, like it's so cute that like Channing Tatum just wanted to make, what's her name? Amber Heard?
Amber Heard,
yes. Yeah. Okay, I will say,
Zoe.
I did not love the character of Zoe. I was like, get her out of here. You know, like I could have done that part. It would have been so. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, but what I thought was
Magic
so
Mike XXL starring Phoebe Robinson.
Straight to video. But no, you know, people are like, we've got as much as we can out of this franchise. We don't need this threequel. But what I liked, Channing just really just wanted to make her character smile, which was so cute. It wasn't like, we're going to date. It wasn't like, I'm going to take you away on vacation. It's like, I just want to genuinely make you smile, and that's like good enough for me. And it's like, I don't know, like the last time I've seen that in a movie. You know what I mean? And so it's just like it was like selfless, haha, but like truly like selfless to just be like, I want you to feel good, and that's it. Like I don't need anything out of this, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Before we move on from the Magic Mike portion of this conversation, we're gonna end it on a high note. I don't know if you saw this picture that Channing Tatum posted on Instagram. His girlfriend Jessie J took it of him, and yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So your Instagram captions are some of my favorite things on the
gosh.
internet. So I'm
Lots
going
of
to ask you
prash.
to live caption this photo.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, his thighs are just like, I was like, oh, can he be my personal trainer? Like, I wasn't even like sexualizing him at first. I was just like, his body is great. I like want to get ready to go to the beach, so I would call him up. But I think the caption would just be like, thank you for giving back. Hashtag tiny reparations, you know? Like, you got to get them where you can. We're not getting the money, you guys. We are not getting the money or the acreage. So this is allyship I appreciate.
This is what we can get.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesse J.
Yeah.
And we like his sweater. That's what Mai would say, right?
Yeah.
He's wearing a nice
Great
sweater.
sweater, Channing.
Great sweater.
Is that mohair? Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to say on Magic Mike before we move on?
I think, as time moves on, like we're going to look back on this movie and I think it's still going to be appreciated. Like I know that sounds nuts to say, but I really do. Like we were all in here like having so much fun, and there's so many times you go to the movies and you're like, this feels like fucking homework.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It feels like, oh, I'm supposed to like this movie. Like anytime I see a movie that's nominated for an Oscar, like I'm not watching Green Book.
Whoa,
I'm not
don't even get us
watching that.
started on Green
I don't
Book.
want to watch that.
Yeah.
That does not feel like enjoyable to me. And I love I love Octavia Spencer. I love Mahershala, but I'm like, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch that. Like I want to see movies that just make me feel happy, especially given everything that's going on right now with number 45. Like I want some Mike fun stuff,
Yeah. And it's okay. Speaking of fun stuff and things that are going to make people happy,
Yes.
you are in the position to do that even more than ever now. Congratulations are in order. You just signed an overall deal with ABC.
Thank you. Very exciting.
So exciting. Okay, so for people in here who maybe don't know what that entails, break it down and tell us what kind of content we can expect.
So basically, ABC Studios is going to give me money to start my own production company, and then I'm going to create a show for myself to star in, and then also like produce other people's stuff. Like there's so many people that I think are brilliant, and I really do feel like this production company is sort of an extension of like what someone was laughing, so I didn't know if there was something on the screen behind me, but I do feel like this production company is going to... Oh, okay.
Okay.
You know
The question period is later.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that. But I really do want it to be, an extension of like what Jessica and I were doing on Two Dope Queens, where, I obviously want to have the platform for myself, but I get really excited just like celebrating other people's points of views and their voices. And so I just really want to just flood the market with as many different kinds of TV shows that represent as many different kinds of people as possible. So,
Yes. And one of the things, whistle in the front. One of the things I loved about Two Dope Queens is that you found so many different voices and comedians of different backgrounds, different sexual orientations, and you really proved that to the people who say, oh, we just can't find the talent, that's some bullshit.
Yeah.
So what do you say to those people now? Because we are hearing it when the diversity conversation comes up. It's like, oh, they're just not applying. We just can't find them.
Yeah, I think like now people are now more willing to say it, but I'm looking at your actions. And so it's like, if you're like, oh yeah, we're more inclusive, and you have like a late night show and it's mostly white guys writing on it and one woman, then you saying you're looking for inclusivity is bullshit. Like I don't want to hear it. So I'm like at the point where I'm like, are you hiring people who are different from you? Are you recognizing? I think the biggest thing for me is I feel like a lot of times women, people of color, people on like the gender spectrum, people like in the queer community, like our potential isn't recognized. Whereas I think a lot of times straight white guys will be given the benefit of the doubt and might be given an opportunity a little bit sooner. I think that that's the opposite, where we have like to gain a lot more of experience. We have to do a lot more things on our own to get the same opportunity. So I think what needs to happen is, one, the gatekeepers need to change. Like that needs to be more diverse. That can't just be white guys, green light and everything. And then I think there really needs to be I don't know how to say it, but like you need to like sort of encourage other people to like encourage like the women that you see in comedy or in film or in TV to come to you with ideas, or to just encourage them to write. There's so much where it's like we're not encouraged to be the authors of our own story, right? We're taught to audition and try and fit into someone else's vision, and we hope that that works. But you know, at any given point, there's like a Zendaya, you know, Lupita, like a Tracee Ellis Ross, and then like that's it. And so I want it to be like, I should be allowed to create like my own show and then cast someone else in it. You should be allowed to write on like whatever show you want to write on, and like you have your voice, change the voice of that show a little bit and have it be more reflective. And so I think what needs to happen is people need to stop talking about diversity, and people need to actually start doing it in their day-to-day and not doing it so they can get fucking cookies for it. Just doing it because it's the smartest fucking thing to do.
Yes. Yes. Clap for
You know?
that. You know, speaking of women of color being the authors of their own story, this is your book. Everything's trash, but it's okay. Please buy a copy.
Yes.
If you do not already have it, which you should.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things I love about that book is that it's so candid, it's so you. You can hear your voice in every sentence. And you talk about some really tough stuff while also being your hilarious self. You share a lot, you know, about body image issues, money problems, the things that people don't want to talk about. So I want to know what you learned about yourself as you were writing it.
I think, you know, it's always kind of scary. Who's a writer here? Okay, it's a good amount. You like, and I think that sometimes you can sort of like self-censor yourself where you're like, oh, I don't know if this is important to anyone else, or I don't know if I want like my family to read this, or I don't know if this is good enough. And so I think with my books, this is my second one. My first one, You Can't Touch My Hair. I think it's just, what I've learned is that I can only be me. Like that, I can't imitate another writer. And so I'm just gonna write, you know, myself to the fullest in everything that I do. And so I think what I learned was just that, to trust that, and that people will connect with that. I feel like the more specific you are, it actually translates to being universal. I know that doesn't make sense, but it's like when you get down to those like details, like people can see themselves within the details, and then it's easier to connect with someone. You can't pretend like this person is a stranger, you have nothing in common. And I think that a lot of times we, you know, the world is just like, oh, we're all so different. Everyone's so different. We don't have anything in common. And it's just like, we have so much in common. We've all had shitty jobs. We've all like gone through crappy breakups. We've all like, you know, got like a raise. We've all like had to move to a new city. We've all had to do these sort of like life milestone things. And so if I can sort of like talk about that, then so can other people. And I think in particular, the essay I wrote about money and like how I was in $60,000 worth of debt, I really just wrote that because, you know, when I was like the peak of my debt was like right when Two Dope Queens came out as a podcast and was like number one. It debuted number one in the world. And like people were like, oh, it's so cool. It's so exciting. Like you must be doing like blowing up and doing all these things. And I'm like, I'm fucking broke. And so I think we live with social media really is like the highlight reel. And it really sort of like you cherry pick the moments. You curate like all your victories. You know, like no one is like posting when they're at housing court. No one's like, yeah, give me some likes on that. But that is... You know, I had to go to housing court. Like other people I know in New York have had to do that. And so when I wrote the essay about my struggles with money, I just really wanted to be like, if we all just freaking talk about money, I think it would make everyone unclench their buttholes when it comes to the topic of money. Because it is a very stress-inducing thing. If you feel like you don't have enough, you feel bad about yourself. If you feel like you have more than your friends, so you feel bad because you feel like, well, have I earned this money? And I really wanted everyone to just sort of feel comfortable having conversations about money, because we're not, like we're taught, go to school, go to college, get your degree. We are not taught how to manage money. Women in particular, people of color in particular. And it's like, we're going to all live for a long time. And we should talk about investment. We should talk about all these things that is being kept from us. So I just wanted to like have that open conversation about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can clap for that. It was one of
That
the
was
things.
a very long answer. Sorry.
No, it was a great answer. another thing that you write about that kind of sparks conversations right now is talking about race. And in both books, you talk about some things that, as a Black woman, I really related to, but some white people reading it, that might have been the first time they were hearing that stuff. And it's something that you're explaining to them, let's say. Do you ever get exhausted by having to explain things to white people?
I think so. I think sometimes. Don't we all? But
Yes.
I do realize things aren't going to change unless we talk about it, because we can all be like, well, Barack Obama was elected president, so racism is like done. And you're like, what? But there were a lot of people who felt like, oh, everything's fine. Slavery was so long ago. It's like, it wasn't really. And so I think sometimes I do get sort of irritated, like having to have these conversations. But then you sort of realize that a lot of people aren't having these conversations in their homes when they're growing up. And so, I remember, my dad talking to my brother about like police pulling you over. But I don't know how many white families are sitting down with their kids and being like, this is a thing that's happening. Driving while Black is a thing. I don't think that's a conversation that's happening. So then when it gets in the news, white people are like, what, where is this coming from? I've never heard of this, because they're not talking about it in their communities. And I realized that by writing some of this stuff, if a white person reads it and they learn something from it, they can go back and tell their friends about it. Because, studies have shown that you tend to listen to people that you are friends with or people that look like you. And so they might listen to Lisa more than or Abigail, I don't know.
Karen.
But, on an issue and be like, oh, I should think about this more. So
Absolutely.
Sometimes it is frustrating, but I feel like until we're really having an open dialogue and then making action from that dialogue, we're going to still kind of sort of be in this space of we're talking about race and not everyone else is, and everyone should be.
Is there one thing that you're done explaining?
Oh gosh, one thing I'm done explaining. I think touching my hair, and I'm really, because I live in New York, and hailing cabs is still this was last week. I was coming out of recording a podcast in Manhattan, and this cab had his light on to show that he was available, and he saw me raise my hand and he turned it off, and there was no one in his cab. He just didn't want me to get in his cab. And so it's that truly happens. I don't know, that's honestly why I take Lyft more. I just don't want to have to do this in the fucking street and a fucking dumbass as people pass by me. But that's a thing that still happens, and people be like, what? No. And I'm like, no, truly, Black people will not be let in cabs.
Yeah,
and
happened
it's
to me.
2019.
It's
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Okay, switching gears a bit, I want to talk about Michelle Obama.
Oh, Mish.
You call her Mish. She calls you Phoebes. I just saw you in Toronto. Who else was at the Toronto show?
Oh, nice. Yes.
So, I mean, do you ever pinch yourself? What's happening when you're sitting across from Michelle Obama and she's calling you Phoebes?
It is really sort of, I think, okay, so it all started because when her book came out, she wanted Teed Up Queens to be the only sort of non-traditional interview, press interview that she was doing, because she was doing a lot of late night talk shows and morning stuff. And Jess and I were like, oh, she really listens to the podcast. So we kind of had a panic, because I used to joke about it, but I didn't think she was actually knew who we were. And so it was really cool. I don't know. I love reading, so I love talking to people about their books. And so the fact that we got to interview her about her book, I was in nerd heaven. I, was just highlighting and taking notes, because they sent us the manuscript, because that hadn't been published yet. And I was just highlighting and taking notes. He'd be like, yas. I was just I agree with that too. Oh my God, you put it in perfectly. So it was really cool to do that. And then we went to DC to interview her. And the thing about her is, that's great is that most people who are in the public spotlight wanted to be in that, and I include myself in that. I'm still am like mostly shy, but like I obviously want to be on stage because that's why I'm doing this. But she really just wanted to do like public service, and so all the fame and all this other stuff is it doesn't really mean much to her other than like, okay, well, let's talk about healthy eating. Okay, if I do this, let's talk about like how we treat our veterans. So it's really sort of cool to meet someone who's so not interested in politics, so not interested in the fame, and just really is such a do-gooder and so smart and so funny and so loving. And so the fact that we got to end the podcast with her felt very perfect and right and special and awesome. And then when she was like, I would love for you guys to, interview me on the book tour, and just like had her schedule, she was like pretty slammed. But I was like, I am available for all the dates. I like didn't even know what the dates were, but I was like, I could do any of them. And then I heard like the opening night was going to be in Chicago, and I was like, I could do Chicago. And they're like, oh no, we're all set on Chicago, but maybe can you do like Detroit and Philly? And I was like, who the hell's doing Chicago? Like I volunteered, and I saw that it was Oprah, and I was like, oh. Got it. Yeah, I guess that's fine. But I got to interview Mish 5 times, and I learned stuff about her every single time. We had different conversations every single time, and she's just so sweet and wonderful, and like, I don't know, she's just a dream come true. So it's really just like one of those like sort of pinch me, like that's gonna be like one of the cool memories of my life.
That's amazing. Do you have her number?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. That's
I have it
That's a
saved
definitive not trash thing in your life.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm getting the rap, but I really, if anyone follows you, they know British Bake Off.
Yes.
That is your boyfriend. So this is before I open it up to all of you guys. You talk really candidly in 2 separate chapters. One about interracial relationships.
Yeah.
And then you talk about meeting British Bake Off.
Yeah.
With a U2 connection.
Yeah.
So just, I want to know, with all the I'm also in an interracial relationship, with all the bullshit things people say about that, what's the the most bullshit thing?
Gosh, I don't know. I think for me, I just sort of have learned to like block a lot of negativity out. And I think when I was younger, I was like a little more sensitive if I was like in an interracial relationship. And now I'm just a little bit more like, I can't be bothered with your opinions on it. I fully do not care. Mm-hmm. And so there are definitely times where we have gone out and people won't think that I'm with him. Mm-hmm. Like if we're like boarding a flight, and we're both flying business class, and there'll be some thank you. There'll be some like trash ass like white dude business guy who is truly like trying to get in the middle of us because he thinks I don't belong in the line. And so we have that. There have definitely been times where we've gone out and someone thought I worked at the restaurant that we're both waiting to get seated at, and you're like, I'm holding his hand. What hostesses do you know who get in line and just hold random strangers' hands?
What service is that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that happens to us in the movies. It's actually happened. It has happened here, but it was a long time ago. So hopefully that person doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah.
Where they just didn't think we were together.
Yeah.
It's like next. I'm like, we're literally right beside each
so
other.
that's the most annoying thing. It's just like respect me, respect my money. Don't assume that he makes more money than I do because he doesn't.
Yeah. Woo! Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to open this up to all of you. So you will get a microphone, and I'm going to point you out. Please wait until the mic has reached you before you ask your question.
And nothing cray-cray, you guys.
Nothing cray-cray. Be nice.
Yeah, be nice.
Okay, we're going to start right up here in the front.
What's your name?
Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi. So Something to do with Magic Mike and something to do, I know you're a big RuPaul's Drag Race fan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have 2 questions?
Ooh.
I want to know, because they talked about Magic Mike, what is your drag name?
Oh, I used to have the answer to this question. I don't have it anymore, which I know kind of sucks. It's supposed to be like the street you grew up on, and like
Oh,
your
yeah, someone
No,
tweeted
but like
this the other
you can
day.
make up your own.
It was the street you grew up on. What else? Like the last thing.
Oh,
and
I
your
never
first
had
pet.
pets because my
That's
parents
your
do not
porn
like
name.
pets. Oh, that's your porn name. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what's the difference between a porn name and the formations of it. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have a drag name. Okay, I'm sorry to disappoint with that.
No,
So
I
sorry.
mean, listen. That's all right. I
Yeah.
don't have a drag name either.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Hands up high. Hands up high. Anyone who has a question? Oh yeah, right here. Right here. What's your name?
It's also Rebecca.
Oh, yeah.
I just said to my friend, that's my name. Anyhow, you said that you just like watching movies that make you feel good. But when we're at a smart party and someone says, what's your favorite movie? What do you say to that's like the smart intellectual answer versus aside from Magic Mike, what is your actual favorite movie?
Ooh, that changes my favorite movie. I think I used to watch a lot of like 70s cinema because that's like my dad used to watch a lot of that. So like I watched stuff like The Conversation, like Godfather. Like I think Godfather Part 2 is probably like my favorite, like I guess intellectual answer. But yeah, I just love like Dog Day Afternoon. I just love movies from that era. Like they're just like so cool and yeah, groundbreaking.
Sorry, I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Favorite rom-com? I feel like I already know the answer to this.
Ooh, okay. You know what I rewatched recently that holds up so well, and I wish more rom-coms took chances like it did? My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yes. That is one of my all-time
Julia
favorites.
Roberts' character is a complete asshole,
Yes.
and you root for her the whole time, and I'm just like, you guys, Julia Roberts is like, I think she gets like not enough love for being such a great actress because that is a really hard thing to do, to be like, I don't like you, but I'm rooting for you to break up another relationship, but then I'm also happy that you end up by yourself and choose yourself. Like that is a great fucking arc.
Great arc. Way
That's
before
great.
its time.
So
Woo!
great, so smart.
My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yeah,
yes.
that's a good one.
And she doesn't end up with a guy.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's great.
It's
I
so
love
great.
that.
Okay.
Be by yourself.
Hands up. Hands up. Anyone else? Right here in the front. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Joelle.
Hi, Joelle.
Joelle.
I just want to say, Phoebe, you're amazing. You're such a refreshing voice, and anyway, I'm a big fan.
Oh, thank you.
My question is, from the outside, it kind of looks like there's a bunch of girls like you, Ilana Glazer, Issa Rae, and you guys are kind of like opening so many doors. Do you feel like this sisterhood of these like amazing Hollywood women, or do you really still feel like you guys are kind of like the odd exception, and there's so much glass ceiling like to hit?
I still think there are a lot of like barriers in the way, but you know, when I got the production deal with ABC Studios, like I called Alana because she just started her production company last year, and I was like, girl, this is new for me. Like, let's talk about it. And so we like talked about it. She like gave me like advice, and like Issa has just been like so great and wonderful. She did like my podcast, and like she's just like, we have like mutual people in common, and she was working with my makeup artist on the movie that she just shot. And then she was like, how's Phoebe doing? I haven't talked to her in a while. So I feel like it's been really good that we're all sort of like keeping tabs on each other. And, you know, like I see them doing stuff and it just like inspires me to be like, oh yeah, I can reach for more and bigger and better and do other things. So I think we're in a really good spot right now, and I want that to keep going.
Mm-hmm. I want to get to everyone that has a question. So hands up. Oh, we're gonna go. Oh, never mind. We're gonna go right here.
He's in charge. What's your name?
You're in charge.
Hi, I'm Priya.
Hi, Priya.
So thank you so much. That was so awesome. We were like 3 of us just enjoying the whole time. So what I wanted to ask is, how did you set up your meeting with ABC, and how did you kind of navigate those channels? Because in Canada, it's really, really hard to get a TV production off the ground if you're not an old white man, so who has like a ton of show running experience. So my question is, how did you kind of get it started, and and then follow up. Will you do any productions in Canada as like a co-partnership or anything like that?
Ooh, girl, I don't know. We early stages on that, but I will say,
Come hire us all.
yeah. I will say, this was very unexpected. ABC Studios reached out to me, that's the nicest thing ever. That just like makes you feel good that like people even know you exist in this industry. And they were just really like, we love what you do with Toot Up Queens and your books, and like we think you have like a cool voice, and you could like bring some really amazing people in here that we haven't gotten to yet. So that's been really nice, and I think they've been they're like, we want different shit. Like we don't want just like, the same old kind of show. So they've been like really sort of supportive that way. And it is hard to get a deal like this. So I don't have any sort of advice on how to do it because they offered it. But I think, I've been doing comedy for 11 years, and, so much of it is like I just have been doing like a million other things, and then this opportunity presented itself. I always, in my head, was like, oh, when I turn 40, that's when I'll have my production company. So I already had like the timeline, and then life was like, LOL. We're doing it sooner before you think you're ready. And so, I've always sort of like had that in the back of my mind that eventually like that's what I want to do. Like I really do want to produce other people's projects. So I think it was just so that the universe listened to me, and then just me grinding and working on other stuff and just getting myself ready for this opportunity, I guess. But I would love to shoot things in Canada. Yeah,
'cause
why
it's
not?
really hard
It's cheaper out here.
Yeah.
Just to maybe to follow up to your question, the people who are creatives, who are in rooms with a lot of old white men, what advice do you have for them?
I would say keep sounding like yourself. It's very easy to be like, oh, I think I'm going to give somebody what I think they want. And that's how I'm going to keep my job. And I feel like my career, Issa's career, Alana's career, lots of other people, like our careers are because we were like, well, I'm just going to do me. And I don't know if the people are like into me right now, but I'm going to keep doing this thing. And then from all of that, people can see, oh, you are a creator. Because I think right now we live in a time where it's like the performer creators are really the ones who are shining right now. And like you really... And it's not everyone's thing. Not everybody wants to be a creator. I'm just saying that out the gate. Like, I'm not saying you have to be a creator, but if you have an inkling of that sort of like starting from the ground up, like nurture that, because that is what is going to keep you employed for the rest of your life. And it's going to allow you to have a career, because you can work, but having a career is a different thing. If you want to be around for 40 years, you have to know how to produce. That's why you see someone like a Reese Witherspoon going from like America's Sweetheart to now having this fantastic production company. And it has really exploded her career in a way that wasn't happening with just acting. Like, it's really good. Like, you don't have to be like writing everything, but if you have a good eye, like if you know how to read a book, and you know how, not know how to read a book, but if you know... But if you know how, like, you can pick books that, like, your friends love, where you're like, oh, I think you're going to like this book. And they read it, and they're like, oh, yeah, I did like this book. If you know how you have an eye for that, you can apply that to other things. So there are different ways to be a creator, rather than, like, I'm going to sit at my desk and write from the beginning.
Yeah. Your interview with Reese on So Many White Guys was so great.
She's the best.
She's great.
She's very, very smart.
Anyone else with a question? I want to get to somebody back there, because there was a hand... You chickened out? All right. Right here.
Hi.
Hi. What's your name?
Emily.
Hi, Em.
Okay, first, I had never seen Magic Mike before, so that was hot.
Yeah. I know. It's really intense to see it in a theater for the first time, because that's what I did. I was in San Francisco with a friend at a comedy festival, and we're like, oh, why don't we just go like see Magic Mike like in the afternoon? It was like an afternoon showing. And it was like just like pockets of like different women and like couple of guys. And we were all just like, ah! like for like truly like 2.5 hours, and we were like, this is cool. And then we all like walked out of the theater being like, we felt like we were all a little pregnant. It was
Oh my
it was
goodness.
great.
That just lasts like the Twitch Channing last.
I know.
It's the greatest scene.
Sorry,
M. Your
Yeah.
question.
Sorry, M.
Okay, so your writing to me just seems so effortless and honest and true to who you are. And
Thanks.
I was just wondering if during any point you experienced writer's block and what you did to get out of that, and like how do you just like work through the stories that you have to tell and putting them on paper?
Oh yeah, writer's block is so real. I always say 50% of writing for me is procrastination. It is like, ooh, I'm having trouble with this paragraph. I guess I'll just clean my entire kitchen. Okay. Oh yeah, I really feel like doing spin class right now. I'll just go work out for an hour instead of writing. And yeah, writer's block is a real thing, and I think what I've always like wrote stories as a kid, but I went to school for writing, and I'm 34, so I've been sort of writing for like a really long time. You just sort of learn how to work through it. You're never going to eliminate it. So that's the thing. It's like once you embrace, like you're going to have days where you can't come up with anything, or the stuff you write is crap. It doesn't matter. It truly, like, no one's going to read the first draft. No one's going to read the second draft. You know, like, if you write some dog shit, do it. Get that out there, because you'll eventually find the good stuff. And I think too often, like, people will stop themselves when they're like, oh, this draft sucks, so I'm not a good writer. It's like, I don't know anyone whose first draft of anything is incredible. That doesn't exist. So like once you get that out of the way, you can just really sort of focus on, like, if you're having a bad day and you can't get any writing done, great. Then don't write that day. Like I know there are some people who write every single day, and I'm like, good for you. I cannot do that. To figure out what your rhythm is, like usually with book writing stuff, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. is the best writing time for me. So a lot of times I would be like in the living room, British Bake Off would be asleep. I would have, like infomercials on mute, and I would just be writing on my laptop at 4 a.m. and that's just like what works for you. So I think everyone's writing process is different. And so just embrace that. Like you don't have to write like anyone else. 'Cause I think a lot of times we read these articles about writers where it's like, I get up at 5 a.m. and I get 2,000 words done by noon. And it's like, good for you. Good for you. I cannot do that. There's no world in which I would be able to do that. So embrace what does and doesn't work for you. And then when it comes to writer's block, just be like, okay, I'll get you tomorrow, bro. Like if you can't handle it today, that's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah. One of the things a friend of mine says that I love is you can't fix nothing.
Yep.
So yeah, get it down and then fix it.
Exactly.
Anyone else? Okay, in the middle, in the gray.
And it's about rewriting. I'm a really good rewriter. I'm okay writer, but my editing is fucking top notch, and that's great. That's where you want to live.
Yeah.
Hi,
Tell us your name.
Marissa.
Hi, Marissa.
Hi. We just recently watched your clip where you learned to play the flute with Lizzo.
Oh yeah, that was so
amazing.
fun.
And I was wondering, maybe outside of Michelle Obama, who your favorite interview has been, and if there's any like new skill you've learned from an interview that you've walked away with. Probably not the flute.
Well, my favorite interview, I think, besides Michelle Obama. Okay, because I was gonna be, yeah, she's great. I've interviewed a lot of awesome people on So Many White Guys. I will say Tom Hanks, surprisingly, I knew that he like started out doing comedy, but he was in LA, and so we did it over the phone, and you kind of never know. It's easier when you're in the room, honestly, because you can like sort of get the energy going. Like with Reese and I, we just sort of like were on the same page, but I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. He's in LA working, and it was just like instant like chemistry, and it was so fun. So I really loved interviewing him, and I think I haven't gone back to listen to like my early episodes of So Many White Guys, but to now I am just a much better interviewer. And I'm better at steering the conversation where I want to go. And I think there were a couple episodes in the first season where I just sort of let the guests sort of kind of dictate what they're going to talk about. And I'd be like, oh, well, that's not the interview that I wanted to have. And I think now that I've learned how, I'm like, I know how to get what I want out of it, and then we can get to the other stuff later. But I think, honestly, like, with interviewing is, like, people just want you to actually give a fuck about what they're saying. Like, I know when I do promo, like, half the time I don't want to fucking talk about this book. I don't care. You'll know about this book if you buy it. If you don't want to buy it, fine. Like, I want you to, like, get to know me. You know what I mean? It's like, I live with this freaking book for so many months. I don't want to talk about it for another hour. I'm sick of it. I know this thing. I lived it. But then if they ask me some stuff that does not relate to the book, it's so fun. It gets me out of that space of like, here is my pitch to sell my book. Please buy it. It's hardcover. I know it's more expensive, but this is why you should spend your money on it. Like that, I hate that. But if we could talk about other stuff, it's great.
One thing not related to your book or anything we've been talking about, Game of Thrones. No spoilers. No spoilers.
I'm not gonna do any spoilers.
I just want to ask a season overall question about Khaleesi.
And I will say, I watched last night's episode. British Bake Off and I are apart. He's in Florida working with the Lumineers. So we are going to do an Insta Live tomorrow night about it because I have a lot to say. I will say this season,
everything is trash. That's all we will say. Okay, another question. Right? How much time do I have? Nobody's here telling me what time. 5 minutes. Great.
Okay.
Any other questions in the back?
oh wait,
no.
I see the darkness right
yes.
there. Are you wearing like a hoodie or a sweater or something? Curly hair. You just looked behind yourself. Okay, yeah, that's you. Okay.
Yes, you in the front. Do the mic see where we're pointing?
Yeah, right over there.
Yeah,
You see
right
all
there.
those? Yes. Thank you. What's your name, sir? What's his name?
Mike. Oh, where is he? Alan?
Alan?
Dave.
Oh, hi, David. We went through all those names. Thank you so much, David. We're like,
where did I get Alan from? I'm so sorry.
Hi.
Oh, I wasn't sure if there was someone there. Hi, I'm Allie.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you. I'm curious, since you're a fan of Magic Mike 1 and then Magic Mike XXL, if there were a Magic Mike 3, what do you think the plot would be? Because, like, I have thoughts, but I want to know yours.
Ooh. What would the plot be for a third one? I say, like a bachelor weekend. Like, one of them is engaged. I think Big Dick Richie gets engaged.
Yes. Yes to
Andy McDowell.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And it's like just crazy, and it's like joint bachelorette weekend because that's like really cute, and I think that's they go to Vegas one last time before I get married, bro. This is it. And you're like, all right, just fucking dance to like 9 Inch Nails and like let's be done with it.
That's it. That's all you need. Anyone else? Right here in the purple.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you so much. You guys are
work.
so speedy with these
Yes,
microphones.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I was going to ask you about Game of Thrones, actually.
Okay,
but,
what's your name?
Millie,
Okay, great. Wait, where are you from?
England.
Ooh,
Yeah.
cheers.
I'm not going
Phoebe
to
does
talk about the
a
accents.
great accent.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good.
Yes.
But, well, maybe I won't ask you about Game of Thrones, but I guess, like, what shows are you watching at the moment?
Okay. Besides Game of Thrones, I just started watching Fleabag. I like it. I watched Shrill. I'm almost halfway through the first season of Rami. on Hulu.
We don't get Hulu in Canada. I know.
Are you
I know.
serious?
I am serious.
Why? When
Although
they didn't even
Shrill
do
is
that?
here now, but
Oh my God! I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk to ABC Studios about that. That's wild. That's so nuts. What else am I watching? Yeah, I think that's it. Killing Eve is next on my list. I haven't started it yet.
our queen, Sandra
Yeah,
Oh.
I think those are like the main things that I'm watching right now. Yeah. Really, really. Oh, and I love Catastrophe. That was, oh my God. I love that show so much. I'm so sad it ended, but I thought it was a beautiful ending. Great.
Amazing. Do we have time for one more question or no, we're done?
Okay, one more question. Okay.
One more.
Great. Ooh,
Phoebe,
yes.
you want to pick this one?
Yes. Yes, you. Uh-huh.
Yes.
You were in the VIP thing, right? Yes. Good to see you again, Queen.
Thank you. Hi, Phoebe. My name is Aiden, and my question is, as a producer now, what are you looking for as a producer who's producing creative content, and specifically as a Canadian writer who wants to be able to produce her own work in the future? I'm very interested in telling stories that I've lived and that I've experienced and that I know, and my community is Toronto. And I've seen every show possible set in New York and LA and London, and I haven't really seen anything other than Degrassi that's been set in Toronto. And so I'm excited that I'm writing a show that's based in Toronto. So
That's
I'm
great.
just curious.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as a creator and as a new producer, what's going to be different about the way that you pick your shows or your projects, and what can we look forward to so that we're prepared to pitch to you?
I just want, that's a great question, by the way. I just want to be, I'm a person who gets like really obsessed with things. So I want to be like really excited about something. I think that like with Two Dope Queens, like because I was in the world of stand-up, I sort of like picked every single stand-up that was on the podcast and the HBO show. And it was just like every person sounded just like themselves. Like they weren't trying to be like Jerry Seinfeld or Chris Rock. And I think people have very fascinating minds, and I gravitate towards people who do things that I wouldn't think of doing. So I like the idea that you're writing a show about a show that's set in Toronto. I love that. That's great. Like, I feel the same way. I'm like, if I see another show set in fucking LA, who cares? No, I love LA. No one gives a fuck about LA except for LA. It is so fucking stupid. We're like, I live in Silver Lake. It's like hipsterville. No one cares. So if you could put it in like a setting that's like Toronto, and you pick something that is like, either it's like about your life or just it is so from your gut that it feels like authentic and unique. That's like what I love. I just want to be surprised. I wanted to just laugh a lot. I think there are a lot of comedies right now that are really dramas. And they're like, well, it's a half hour. And I'm like, you can have a half hour drama. I want a half-hour comedy. So where is it? So I really am looking for just like jokes on jokes on jokes. Like that's what I want. I mean, you can have heart too. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of heart in comedy, but a lot of stuff is just bordering on like moody sort of like. And I'm just like, I'm not laughing though. I'm shaking my head and going, yes, that's a great point, but I'm not laughing, and I want to laugh a lot.
Well, you made us laugh a lot tonight, Phoebe. Thank you so much.
You guys.
Thank you so much, all of you, for being here with us. And thank you, Channing Tatum, for Magic Mike.
Woo!
Thank you.
I'm going to be signing books.
Yes, you are going to be signing books.
somewhere.
Oh, I was supposed to tell you that. Thank you.
Yeah.
She is signing books on the ground floor right after this, so get down there and meet Phoebe.
Yes.
Woo!
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.